Oh my God, Mitch, I'm sorry. I was just so surprised to see you standing there.
Not as surprised as I was.
Come back to Baywatch.
Looks like we're hot. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our first episode. My name is Andrew.
I'm Bill.
And, I think we're just two guys who love TV so much that we even started watching bad shows. This is the Baywatching podcast, okay? So Bill hasn't ever seen much Baywatch. I haven't seen that much Baywatch. And this is like our preliminary episode to discuss before we watch the pilot. But I have prepared a subtle history for you all,
Get us into it, Drew.
But I'm going to get you into it. I'm going to tell you about someone you might be a little taken off guard. I'm actually just going to give you a history right now about a man named Gregory J. Bonin.
Who's he?
But Gregory J. Bonin, well, he was born in June 28th, 1952.
Wait, his name's Bowman?
Bonin.
Bonin.
I mean, we can check. I should have, I'm not prepared. I should have checked the phonetic pronunciation.
You didn't write a joke for that.
I know. I know. The thing is, he seems like kind of a nice guy. Okay. He's not like a bastard.
Okay.
But not
boning. So he was boning along, and
he was boning along. His father was boning along.
What year was he alive, or what year was he relevant?
Well, he was boning along. After his father boned along with his mom, he came out in June 28th, 1952. That's when Greg was born. I'm going to call him Greg.
Greg.
And as a youngin', Greg suffered from severe asthma and allergies, Bill, okay? He was also born with club feet. And
clubbed feet, what is
that? Okay, so it's...
like he doesn't have toes? They're just clubs?
Fuck, I don't know. I didn't look that up either.
Oh,
but it's some impairment, right? That
okay. Could he walk?
I think his feet were like you could go dance at his feet and
maybe just didn't have to he wouldn't get drafted, like bone spurs type thing. Maybe
you can't do shit. That's the point. Yeah, like you can't get drafted. You can't do like a lot of sports.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And so he had club feet. He had severe visual impairment, and he nearly. This is weird because this is what I read, but he nearly died twice before the age of 2.
So he was not meant to live.
Not meant to live, and I assume he nearly died from like all those impairments. It just said in the thing I was reading, and he nearly died twice. Before the age of 2. Okay.
No.
What is that?
Well, maybe he fell into a pool over his clubbed feet or something.
Right.
That might have been one. Who knows? I could see if you have bad vision, clubbed feet,
yeah.
You're going to have lots of accidents.
But tell me how you feel about this, because as I tell you this history, I started to get the feeling that like he wrote this and it was just like, let me just read you more of like his history, right?
Wait, so I'm kind of guessing that this is going to be the showrunner, creator of Baywatch.
You're right. Okay, so you know how he was born, right? That's how he was. But he was not one to be put down by a shittily dealt hand, Bill. No, Greg was determined to be an athlete, Oh. He attended Palisades.
Like Greg Abbott? Or... Yeah, I think that's the name. The pitcher for the Angels. He was born with one hand.
I don't know shit about
He's a one-handed pitcher, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure there are others, but
maybe they were friends. But Greg went to Palisades High School, right, from 1967 to 1970. And since his allergies ruled out any outdoor sports, Bill, what do you think he did? He couldn't do outdoor sports. Good guess. He joined swim team.
Okay.
Okay, he wore...
I don't think swimming's outdoors, but no, I guess
he was inside. They had the indoor pool, right?
Oh, but the beach swimming, I'm thinking.
Well, you're getting ahead of our story here.
Right, go ahead.
He wore contact lenses to correct his vision because remember he had bad vision, but swimming with them wasn't easy. So he employed special visual aids so that on the walls, painted around to see the pool. And then he got good, I guess, thanks to the ADA. If you have an impaired person, you should paint visual aids. See, it sounds wacky. That's why I'm like, maybe he wrote this.
Hold
Like,
on, because why doesn't he just get corrective goggles?
Maybe it's because like the 70s, and I don't know. Maybe
They might not. That could be.
And then he's in '88. It wasn't there either, so I shouldn't have said that. But ultimately, he specialized in the backstroke because I guess he used the flags. He looked at the flags that were hanging in the gym, right? And then I'm just thinking, that was such a specific pool to be like good at right? Like, what if you go to like a meet somewhere else and the flags are arranged
maybe
differently?
they all have flags. I don't know.
I don't
about
think that's a
Olympic
standard
swimming
pool
pools.
thing, but I don't know much about.
Now that you said that about the flags, I'm thinking about the RCC Olympic pool that I grew up taking swimming. I think they had flags.
Well, maybe it's a standard.
I feel like it's a standard thing with Olympic pools.
Let us know.
If you're a flag,
Yeah.
if you're a pool person.
But Bill, let me continue. Now that he had conquered the pool, where did he want to go? He set his sights on something much larger, the ocean. In 1970, Greg began work.
Whoa, this
as
sounds like a bad
lifeguard.
idea. He has to use the flags above himself.
How's he
just
gonna-
to
how's he
swim
gonna?
straight? How is he gonna know what?
I don't know how he ever corrected his. I don't know how he ever got good at swimming in the ocean. Maybe he used the sun and the moon.
Well, I guess it's easier to tell like which way to go when you're in the ocean.
I guess.
You just have to.
Go to the land.
Yeah, go to the land.
and bring the people you're saving. Yeah. But he went to the ocean, Bill, and in the 70s he became a lifeguard in L.A. L.A. City Ocean lifeguard. Then he went to this guy's crazy. Then he went to the Olympics.
So now are we like in the 70s?
Munich, 1972. He went to the Olympics.
He was in the Olympics. He qualified for
He was
the
a
Olympics?
non-competitor, Bill. He was a non-competitor. He was recruited, though, by the U.S. Olympic Committee and trained to compete in the modern pentathlon, but alas, he did not qualify. But guess what? He still won some real gold at those Olympics because he met all of these documentary filmmakers, right? And he became an award-winning documentarian himself because these people took him under his wing. He started filming, athletes, okay?
Okay, hold on. So he's like he's good enough to get like in the running for the Olympics.
He's good enough to get in the running.
He doesn't quite make it. He's like, I'm going anyways. Just
Yeah,
as a
he wants to
spectator.
go as a non-competitor, yeah.
Well, that's why I'm a little confused about this non-competitor, air quotes.
More and more,
that you're
I'm
doing.
thinking like he wrote this and he just wants to include these cool facts about how he almost went to the Olympics, You know what I
Right,
mean?
he needs to get that in there. That was very close, but it almost sounds like he didn't quite make it, but then he just still went as a spectator.
And I'll divulge this to you. You already know, like, this is one of the creators of Baywatch, okay?
Right.
This is like the main creator. He hired got 2 other writers to help him. And you go to Wikipedia and there's 3 people credited as creators of Baywatch, right? These other 2 writers, you go to their Wikipedia page, no biography.
He has a very extensive biography.
This man has a very extensive biography. And also, he's not made much outside of Baywatch and some sports documentaries.
So maybe it's possible he wrote
It feels like he might have written it because he just wanted to make a really cool representation of himself out there.
It's very flattering.
It's very flattering, and I don't really have any.
He's
reason to
overcome
believe,
a lot of adversity.
and it's not like I have any reason to believe any of this is wrong, but it's just that there's unnecessary amount of information.
Well, that part about I went to the Olympics, but as a non-competitor.
Yeah.
It's a little weird to me. But okay. So he went to the Olympics, met a bunch of people who were there making documentary films about
and
athletes.
I tried to trim it down a little, because his thing is real long. So I tried to make it a story, right, that was all interconnected and related. And he met these documentary filmmakers, Bill. He became an award-winning documentarian. And, his calling card were these, slow action shots of, athletes doing their thing, right? So, diving super slow into the water, right? And he would juxtapose this with rock and roll music.
Okay,
and,
now I
bright
can see.
neon, bright ass neon colors.
Wait, hold on.
You know?
I go back for a second. I think I got a little lost.
No, yeah.
So this was one of the documentary filmmakers that he was meeting with, who was specializing in this type of.
No, Greg, our guy.
That was his.
He got into I
So
skip
that's
over
just
a
how
lot.
he got-
started making sports documentaries.
Okay, and that became his signature.
This became his signature
kind of style.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. And
now we're in the mid 70s.
Yeah, I'm jumping back to 74. Oh, because that whole cast and crew of operators and camera people that worked on his documentaries that had that particular style became the large majority of contributors to his most famous project. They worked with him on it.
Right.
Which is a secret. You don't know what it is. And in 1974, he graduated Cal State University Long Beach with a degree in journalism. That just pops up in the story. No context. Nothing ever happens with that degree in journalism. It just
that's
whoever wrote the article on
degrees in
Wikipedia
journalism.
wants to let you know.
I think that's pretty normal.
Right. Well, it is, but he's a lifeguard. You know, he's this documentarian. He's a non-competitor at the Olympics.
And then he just went and got a degree in
journalism.
In journalism.
You know.
Yeah.
Lots of shit for one life, right? And then, now he's back home. He's inspired by the ocean, right? Greg imagined a television series in around the mid-'70s that featured heroic stories of his lifeguard buddies. And in the summer of 1977, while working at Will Rogers State Beach here in California, Greg performed a routine rescue of some children who were caught in a riptide, okay? He went out there, he saved them. The children's father happened to be the fucking future CEO of NBC.
Whoa.
So like any good lifeguard rescuer, when you save someone's kids, the next thing you do is you pitch them your fucking show, right? They're indebted to you a little bit, right?
You know what?
The next thing you do is pitch your fucking show.
Well, he's a little unethical. I will tell you this because I had an experience.
Bill has a background in law and ethics. He can he can tell us some shit.
Well, no. I have a this is more as a personal anecdote.
Okay.
About what is what the ethical standard for a lifeguard who saves someone accepting gifts.
Okay.
Because I was saved by a lifeguard caught in a riptide.
Yeah, I remember
like
you and a friend of ours.
Brian, 5-6 years ago. Yeah, Brian and I, when we were out here off the coast, Southern California, Newport Beach, and we got caught in a riptide, and it was so far out that they were like, we were trying to get when they finally saved us, we were trying to get the Sea-Doo. Like, or what do you call that thing? Yeah, the jet ski. But it was being used somewhere else, so it's going to be a long
haul
trek
swim.
back. Yeah. But they just kick. Here's your floaty thing and kick.
Yep.
So we got back to the shore, and me and Brian were just like, "You guys say," because we were thinking we were going to die before they came. We thought we were freaked out, thinking we were going to die for a while. Brian's asked me to save him. I'm like, I can't save you.
You're making a choice, like, I got to leave my friend.
Yeah, I was like, we're both dead.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, then they came up out of nowhere and saved us. So, because some surfers pointed us out. But, anyways, so when we got there, back to the shore, we were like, "Thank you guys so much!" Like, and me and Brian just went back to our stuff and got like $20 out, which was all we had, and we was like, "Here, dude, thank you so much. We want to buy you a beer, or like pizza or something. Buy you guys lunch." And he's like, "No." He like refused it full-heartedly. He's like, "This is our job. This is what we do."
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't. And I feel like there might be some thing a little unethical about a lifeguard than like using that. Because here we wanted to offer them money and they felt unethical about taking it.
Right.
And now here's this other lifeguard on the flip side saying, "Hey, I just saved your kids. How about
would you listen to me?
Would you listen to me?
Would you go into an elevator with me for a second?
Yeah,
I'm
so I
give
can
you my
picture
pitch?
this.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I didn't ever think about that, and that's interesting.
That's all I want to throw out. Yeah.
And you have that
unethical.
Yeah. You know, that righteous that lifeguard's a little more righteous.
Yeah.
Than the guy that created Baywatch.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Maybe he's not the best lifeguard to be modeling.
Yeah.
But okay, go on.
It happens, and Bill, I'm sad to let you know, right? Like, yeah. So he saves the guy's kids. He decides to pitch. Personally, too, I wish that I could. Like, I've pitched people shit before, right? And it's hard. It's scary. Like, you think they hate you right away. But if you'd saved their goddamn kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're talking about. There's some unethical shit there.
Right.
So, but guess what? God damn it, he said no. He said no. The guy said no, but not like not because like you're being an unethical lifeguard. He was just kind of like, work on it, you know?
Yeah,
he had pitched.
Yeah, the pitch wasn't good.
He said no to his idea called ACES, ACES, which was Aquatic Corps for Emergency Service. Like, that was his show, and it was just lifeguards saving people and shit, right?
Okay.
At 1981, at his mother's suggestion, he renamed his show Baywatch. Coincidentally, it's the same title as our podcast. But he couldn't get any interest for another goddamn 6 years, you know? Eventually, he gets these people involved.
6 years. He's
6 more years.
This around.
He's just pushing it around. He gets these writers involved to help him kind of like punch it up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then in 1988, there's the Writers Guild strike, okay?
What are these? Do you know what these other writers
I know their
like
names.
Finding are they like actually writers who have worked on stuff? Or?
They're people who can, when I went to their Wikipedia, they had written like several other shows together, and they seem like they're just showrunners. They're writers. They did shows.
And
you know?
Why would they be willing to work on? I'm wondering.
I read that his whoever he's with at the time,
his like wife, or
some
something?
connection, like someone he knew was like related to one of these writers. Either were dating them,
he was
or his
somehow
wife
able
was
to get the ears of these people.
He got their ear, and they're like, "We'll help you.
Okay,
we'll help you punch it up." You know.
All right.
But then, like during the 1988 Writers Guild strike, for some reason, like his production company couldn't use written scripts to pitch the show. There was some technicality, I don't know, and I didn't go deep into it, but
Okay.
we'll find out why one
part
day maybe.
of the strike.
Yeah, like so. What happened was like the people that were like managing the show and saying, "Fuck, we can't pitch a pilot." But what about Greg? What if we did something revolutionary and you made a video pitch? What if you created a video sales presentation styled like one of your old sports documentaries, you know? And Greg thought, okay, you know, I'm going to use my documentary crew that I've always used to shoot and edit footage of the March 1988 lifeguard tryouts, along with slow motion action shots and several of his lifeguard friends.
It was just the tryouts?
That was just the tryouts. On the strength of that presentation, a 2-hour movie pilot was commissioned for NBC entitled Baywatch: Panic at Malibu Pier. That's what we're about to watch, Bill. And that's where we start our journey. That's what leaves us here. And I just want to say this guy is fucking a wild card, right? Like he's crazy. Let me just go on, and this won't spoil into our...
Okay.
You know, I wanted to leave off like right before the pilot, you know? But there were some other tidbits that I just wanted to tell you because I think they're funny. In 1989, while scouting, well, this leaves us before the pilot.
Yeah.
While scouting locations for the pilot in Venice Beach, California, the producers and writing staff were all there, and Greg was approached by a teenager who had lost his friend in the water. While they were scouting locations, Greg swam out and made 3 surface dives. Why do we have all this information, too? He made 3 surface dives before he could find the boy. Then, on the 4th dive... he found the boy, who had been submerged for several minutes. He revived him using mouth-to-mouth resuscitation while he was treading water. In the water, he revived him. So, also, I don't understand. The boy was taken to UCLA.
Because I was a junior lifeguard.
Yeah.
When I was 15.
A boogie board or something?
Yeah, well, if you have the flotation,
right?
then possibly. Because they're like, no, you don't go. They would tell you don't go out if you don't have a flotation thing because they will just take you down.
I did not investigate further the citations to see. You know,
but he's a like. Maybe.
The boy apparently was taken to UCLA Medical Center where he recovered. And Greg received the Medal of Valor from Los Angeles County for performing that rescue. So somewhere you could probably look that up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
I didn't, but I'm sure.
So, like, this was all, like, while he's scouting locations.
Just scouting for the pilot.
He just saves this guy.
Just saves a guy, yeah.
Well,
and he already has the show, so he doesn't have to pitch anything to their parents. You know what I mean? He's already got the pilot going. And in 1994, LA County Lifeguard Services merged into Los Angeles County Fire Department. And so that made Greg a firefighter. He just includes that. It's just, he never talked like fighting fire. I keep saying he as if he wrote this, which I think he did.
It seems like
Who
he
else
did.
would write all that?
It's just and the way he throws in this journalism degree. It's not relevant, but I just want you to know it's on my resume.
Yeah. And I realize the last other tidbits I have to think about. I want to say to you, as far as I know, he's still lifeguarding.
Wait,
as of 2019.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know that as a lifeguard, like every morning before your shift, like that's how it was in California when I was a junior lifeguard. Because that was like next year, it's like okay, and then you can be a regular lifeguard, and then you have to do, and it was like, and we as junior lifeguards would have to do them too.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like we weren't real lifeguards, so it wasn't like a certification thing. But to stay certified, you have to do so many laps in the pool before your shift.
Yeah.
Like every morning, you have to do so many of this type
workout routine.
Yeah, and if you can't
Maybe he's
do
one
it,
of these
then you
old-ass
can't.
guys who he does it.
Well, swimming is one of those types things you can do until old age a lot.
I wanted to show you some pictures of him, but I didn't.
Is he still like in
to put those.
good like fitness?
Well, the most recent picture I think is like maybe like in the last 10 years, and he doesn't look, bad.
But he's like Jack LaLanne, kind of.
I don't know. I don't know the reference well enough.
Oh, you don't know Jack LaLanne? He was like the person who popularized working out and fitness in the 50s.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
there's a
then he
picture of
had
him
the
from, like,
juicers,
80s where
the juicers.
He looks like fucking Swayze, right? Like he's like, ooh, he does look like a lifeguard. He looks like, he's cut and he's got his muscles. So I don't maybe, but
okay.
But let me tell you the last little tidbits here, and then we can just be free and just talk about what we think. But so yeah, might still be a lifeguard. I don't know. I just thought this quote was funny. He said, "This is him. My success was less about being a great filmmaker and more about being a good businessman, surrounding myself with people who were talented in a variety of different areas." Like that quote both makes me feel like, yeah, that makes sense and is reasonable, but also makes me feel like he's kind of got some Trumpian vibes, like some Trump vibes. He's like, I just kind of fucking Baywatch is my thing, and it just kind of worked. But he seems like good. He doesn't seem, You know what I mean? I know he probably wrote this, but he doesn't seem like that snidely or shady. He just seems like very into his own story.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But okay, so that's the last part about Greg, really. But I want to ask you, Bill, how long do you think Baywatch was on the air?
I remember when I was a kid, it was just constantly like commercials for it all the time. I feel like, and I remember sometimes like, the joke kind of being that it was like there's sexy people. It's kind of like almost pornographic.
Yeah.
And almost the same thing with Xena, the Warrior Princess.
Yeah.
On the other, that was, but
satire-
that I watched. I watched the shit out of Xena, the Warrior Princess.
Well, would you
as
say
a
it's
kid.
almost that like
never watched Baywatch?
Would you say almost that like the sort of like cultural satire was more like you were
It's a
more aware of
sexy
that
show.
than the actual show?
Oh, yes.
Right. Me
Yes,
too.
I was
Me too.
aware of it just being, ooh, the sexy show. And wasn't like Pamela Anderson like one of the
We're gonna
like
get
main
to meet,
peoples?
you know,
yeah.
If we
and
keep
I
going.
remember, and I remember the joke from one of my movies growing up, you know, being born in 1988 during the writer's strike.
Yeah.
Was
Me as
when,
well.
it was...
I remember it.
I remember, but yeah, growing up in 1988, of course, like I was prime age for like Billy Madison,
Yes.
and Happy Gilmore, and those Adam Sandler movies.
Yes.
And I still kind of just memorized both those movies and every line.
Yeah.
And I always remember when I think of Baywatch, I think of the line from Happy Gilmore when like Shooter McGavin makes that really lame joke. He's like, I played golf with so-and-so yesterday, and let me tell you, this guy spends more time in the sand than David Hasselhoff. And it's like a super lame joke that he says all the time.
Right.
And I was
you
like,
knew enough
and
about
I knew
to know the cultural reference, right?
Well,
Like,
I remember. I think I had to ask my
you know enough
mom
about golf? Like,
or somebody.
Yeah.
But like, I had to have the joke explained. Or I remember like it was one of those jokes I did not get when the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
And eventually I got, oh, it's because that's the lead actor in Baywatch, the show about the people on the sandy beaches, and there are sand traps in golf. So he spends his and I got it.
Yeah.
But that's about where I leave off of my knowledge of Baywatch.
Well, okay, so back to the question though, how long was it on the air?
Oh, yeah. Well, I feel like I saw it for a long time, and I don't feel like it was
Give me
rerun.
a
So
years.
I'm saying 9.
Count. 9
I'm
years?
saying it ran for fucking ever.
You're right. It went from I
Like
believe
Night Court.
1989 to 2001. Like we were like kind of people by then. You know, like by 2001 we were like maybe
Middle
knew each other.
schoolers. Yeah, we did.
And
met
when
in
we were like
2001.
donning our personalities of who we now are.
Yeah,
And it's
we were
weird to me
beginning
that
to
Baywatch
have
was still on.
personalities. Yeah,
You know?
in middle school.
Okay, here's my next question though. What do you think was the primary demographic who watched Baywatch? And I'm talking like what gender do you think watched Baywatch the most?
That's what I thought. Remember you were going.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the obvious answer, and it's gonna kind of be mine, but I feel like I'm setting myself up for one of those trick like reveals.
Everyone feels like this.
Yeah.
I asked someone else. I asked Peter this question.
Okay.
I was
But
like, let
yeah,
me test what I'm gonna ask Bill.
I of course feel like it's and because it's an action show too. So
Yeah.
actually, no, it seems like the obvious answer.
Male.
Yeah,
the
male,
and you
age
got- you
18
got
to,
like
to 35.
The sort of like what is it? The objectification of
Yeah,
women in slow
women,
motion.
There's guns
Yeah.
and action.
65% female.
Whoa.
Yeah. With its number one audience being women aged 18 to 34.
So it's same age, just but opposite. Huh.
So, speaking in 2001, here's the guy that I don't remember his name, Schwartz, but there's really no information. He's not that interesting of a character. At least he doesn't want to share his interesting life with us like Greg does.
Right.
But Schwartz, I forget his first name. You know, he said in 2001 that after doing focus groups on Baywatch for about 5 years, they learned that the show appealed to that demographic because most of its lead characters were strong, independent women who were heroic, who were saving lives, and who were equal to men. In terms of how most other men were represented on TV, like they were actually doing that shit.
What's that? The Bechdel test?
Yeah,
It's
we
like-
we will find out. We will do this test as we watch. it.
Yes, we should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we'll have to pull it up. But I
How many
remember
times
one
do
of
the women talk about people on screen or have a conversation or any interaction on screen? Right, my understanding of it that doesn't have to do with like a male in the story, right?
Yeah, or like
Or some
like,
kind
it-
of
well, like,
romance or some
Yeah,
kind
that's
of-
like I've heard it too. It's like, yeah, how many times are like two women talking and it's not about another man,
Right.
So like we'll have to look it up exactly so we can apply it.
Yes.
But yeah,
But same, my
I could see that though in this show. As you say that, I'm like, yeah, I could see like two lead, lifeguard, female lifeguards, like trying to solve this problem together and work it, and women being into that. I could see that maybe.
And I'm trying. It's almost like I'm, because we went in jokingly. This was ironic, right? Like we're watching this fucking ironically. But then I'm like reading that, and I'm like, oh, now I'm like saying like, no, this is like progressive and sort of like woke in a way, It's sort of empowering women, which I don't think we're gonna find like holds true completely. Because to spoil a little bit, like I have watched like misplaced episodes. Like that's what got me into wanting to do this.
Right.
And then I was like, Bill, and I love TV. So I kind of like, I want to seriously analyze this show with like my friend Bill. But because I think it's a joke. But as I started watching it as a joke, I became like confounded by certain things in it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I was watching like a white savior narrative, right? Where it was like the Baywatch, like people were gonna save like these inner city kids by taking them to the beach and teaching them surfing for a day, but then like drop them back off and they're terrible. You know what I mean? Like it was just like it made like the white people that were on Baywatch feel good, or I don't know. It wasn't kosher.
Yeah.
But then,
well, and this was at the time period that this was being made at, like this was the end of history, as now we kind of refer to it as,
right.
like that
before the internet. Right?
Yes,
Is that what you're referring to?
Well, no, I'm referring to like that book by that guy called "The End of History."
Oh.
But I hear like that time
Link
period
in
referred
the
to
description.
Yeah, I'll find out the name of it. He has like an Asian sounding last name. I don't know if he's Asian or not, but it's a very famous book in like political science worlds, I guess. But yeah, it's like came out like in the 90s, like late 90s, I think, during like the internet like boom and stuff before the bust.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like kind of where the time where the world basically, and this is what the book is kind of about, like how, and this is why now I think people looking back at it now are like, yeah, it's when we were in the end of history time, we thought everything's now fallen into place. We're just gonna, now this like neoliberal capitalism is we're just gonna now perfect it. But this is the system. We got Bill Clinton in office. Things are just gonna get better and better slowly as we globalize the world in our neoliberal order.
And that's, I think, a point of our podcast that's as you're talking about it right now, as I've been watching it, I feel like, it's going to become a little political and social commentary. And there's things about Baywatch then that are going to be a reflection of like how we got here. You know what I mean? Like,
well, then
where we
what
thought
you
we
just
were.
said kind of seems like that fits very much into that. Like, oh, here's how we can solve the problem through like giving these kids some lessons in surfing or anything that just gets them out of their impoverished neighborhoods, and then we gave them the surfing lesson. Nothing structural, nothing.
I have a feeling we're gonna see that story over and over again because watching it random, I've seen it. You know what I mean? Like it just I've seen it already a couple times. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I mean, Bill brought up the end of history. Maybe that's the end of our preliminary podcast.
All right.
Right?
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
I have,
Tell me if you have
I don't
any
know
thoughts.
what we're
end thoughts.
No, I'll say I'm kind of looking forward to it because I have no idea what we're gonna get into.
Like at all?
No.
Yeah.
No. Here's what I'm curious.
I never would have either.
I'm curious
now I do.
Will it have a narrative that like follows through more like a serialized drama?
Yeah.
Or is it because here's what I imagine from what I remember as being up. I feel like it's gonna have. And it's almost like it was a mistake that it features all these female women in regular roles because I compare it in my head now as an adult. Now I think I know more about what it is now in hindsight than I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because I was just like seeing it and I was like, oh, this is boring. I watched it once for some boobs and there wasn't much boobs and it was more just a boring show.
Yeah.
So like I didn't watch it, and Xena was an interesting show with boobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a kid.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm gonna watch Xena.
Yeah.
But now I think of it more as like a procedural cop show, just with the beach.
And like, why are these lifeguards cops? I don't know. But we're gonna find out.
But yeah, because that's what. But anyway,
well, he told us. Remember, he was like, "Oh, I was a lifeguard, and then some county.
Oh yeah, because
I became a firefighter.
A firefighter. And now I could see the harbor detectives or harbor police, like there was that second season of The Wire that was all about the docks.
Yeah.
But I'm a little confused how they're doing like law enforcement because a lifeguard you can be at 16.
Yeah, right. And
Like,
sounds
that's-
like that's what Greg did because it was like in high school, I think, or early college.
Because when I was a junior lifeguard, that was because I was
Yeah.
15.
Yeah.
And next year I could apply for a real lifeguard position.
But you did ask about like, is there a narrative trajectory? And I don't really know. One thing I do know is that there was quite a fluctuating ensemble cast. So I think we're gonna have to get to know a lot of different characters and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there's gonna be some interesting like soapy. I think we're
Right.
gonna like it.
And
in a weird
that's
way,
what I was wondering
but-
is if it's going to be more of like an episode cop procedural, or is it going to have more threads that go into longer form?
We'll see, But I also think I think there's gonna be some long form, like multi-episode arcs.
Yeah.
But I think also we're gonna know. It might become we learn the story of Greg a little more because when you said that, something happened in like 2001. Greg became he includes this in his documentary too. Like, oh, and then in 2001, like I was a lifeguard in Hawaii. And I don't know what was the impetus or what was the cause and effect for this, but guess what
Right.
also happened in 2001? Baywatch just did a
Ended.
season in Hawaii.
Oh.
like they just went to Hawaii and did Baywatch Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if we'll get that far.
honestly,
we might. But that's the end of Baywatch.
I'm
I think.
almost-
And there's movies. We got some movies coming.
Now that you
Besides this
say
pilot?
that, it's almost like seems like it should have been like
Spin-offs.
a thing, like, and it's like CSI and Law and Order. Like,
Well,
there
we're
should
going to
have
be able to
been,
watch
like-
Baywatch at night. There's or nighttime.
So there were some.
There's some
There were
spin-offs.
some spin-offs.
Nothing
okay.
was as successful as Baywatch.
As just
in fact,
Baywatch.
Baywatch was an international hit. Like the world loves
Whoa.
Baywatch, apparently. That's
Well,
what I read on Wikipedia.
Huh.
So we'll find out
Interesting.
why.
Yeah, we'll find out. Because I went into it from this kind of era. I went back into a Night Court,
Yes, yes.
and that's one of those. It's hard to find streaming anywhere. So I finally just purchased it, watched the first season. First season was like, okay, it's like that kind of goofy, sick. Okay, I liked it. It was okay. Then second season, they swapped out like 3 of the main characters, kept the judge, and the DA, but everyone else was changed.
Yeah.
And like the writing seemed a little different. And then like, I've got like halfway through the second season and I'm done.
Just one more thing, Bill.
So we'll see.
Just
I might not finish Baywatch, is what I'm saying.
just one more thing.
What?
You ever watch Columbo? Ha ha! Right?
No, but that's when I kind of want to.
Okay, well then you don't get my joke because that's always
Yeah, I did
more
get
thing.
that though. See, because like Columbo was
Columbo's
so
good. Like in my
Yeah.
opinion, like
Yeah.
I would like to do a podcast of that and just love it and say like, look, the production
that's
value,
actually,
look
like,
at these
good,
stories.
yeah.
They made movies, like
Yeah, no,
beautiful movies every
I could
week.
see
Maybe I'm
Columbo
wrong.
being good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Anyway,
I did watch Diagnosis Murder, which I think was a not as good version.
Right. My whole life, I always thought that that show was about someone named like. I thought there was a name called Diagnose. You know what I mean? Like as a kid or whatever, you hear it in the
Yeah.
culture, and I'm like, oh, Diagnosis Murder. Like, oh, what happened to
Yeah.
Diagnose?
He was murdered. Yeah.
Or she. I thought it was. For some reason, I thought it was a girl's name.
Yeah, they-
Diagnose, like
right,
Diane.
Right. But no, it was about a doctor who solved crimes.
Right.
And he was played by a famous guy who's now, but he was like famous as a younger person. And then that was like his role
Yeah.
when he was old.
Well, I'm going to prophesize right now. We're watching this show because I thought it was going to be bad, and it might be, but our network is going to grow. We're going to have to watch
Eventually,
a lot of
we
other
might
shows. Some
watch
of them
a
are going to
good
be
show.
good. Yeah, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Alright.
But right now, this is almost like We Hate Movies, but for television, that we're going to just subject ourselves to shitty shows so that you don't have to watch the whole thing.
Right. Now we're going to like go and probably get high and watch this pilot.
We'll see.
All right. Bye. Love you. Love you.
So long.
Love you.
Oh, sir. Just one more thing.
You can find us on Twitter at BaywatchingP and on Instagram at Baywatching Podcast. That's at BaywatchingP on Twitter and on Instagram at Baywatching Podcast. Find us where all your pisses are streamed. Mwah.